Yeah, good day, traders. I hope you enjoy your weekend, and and I also hope you had a good trading week last week. And so, this video is not expected to be much long. I'm just going to start straight up. This is dollar index, 1 hour, 4 hours time frame. And if you remember the last week, I drew a channel, more like a triangle on this 4 hours time frame, and I told you to be expecting, price trading within a diagonal structure. That's what is currently happening, and right now the triangle or the ND diagonal structure has not been completed yet, but we expect that it should complete soon. And this is what I'm actually looking at, which was what I told you the other time. I think last week we were around this place. We were around this place last week, and I made a forecast that most likely be having a diagonal structure. And this is what happened. Price came down and went up, and then is currently trading within that structure, that same diagonal structure. And as it looks out right now, we are just about to get completed. If I quickly take you back to the higher time frame so that we know exactly what we were looking at. If you remember, we have been looking at price coming all the way down to this area, to come all the way down to this 101,297 zone. So I gave that projection then, and then I told you that when price gets here, there's every tendency that it's going to be pulling back. And so that's the structure that we are still looking at. And then if we go to the daily time frame, I drew this, and then that's what price is currently doing. We're expecting is to make the last touch around this area, and then made that pullback. And so if you get to the 4 hours time frame, it will be very, very easy for you to understand what the dollar index is currently doing right now. And so it has made a 1, and then the pullback 2. It has made another 3 swing here, which is the 3, and then it has gone up right here, which is going to be the 4, and then we're expecting it to come all the way down here, which is going to be giving you the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ending diagonal structure right here. And so when that is then completed, it is expected that there are going to be some rejections around here, which may then give us an indication of the possibility of price, making that pullback, possibly all the way to this area, or the previous high that price made, before we then start getting to see the proper weaknesses. So what we are going to be expecting this week is further weakness of the dollar index, and when that is completed, by the time it gets completed and then price start making indication to want to go higher, then we can start looking at the possibility of using that to trade our indices and also our gold and Bitcoin. And so that's it. That's that for dollar index. We are still in course, and price is just still going exactly the way we want it to go. So now we can then go to our MT4 charts, and then we'll be able to see exactly what we should expect from dollar related instruments. So as it is, this is gold, and I remember I gave you 2 trade setup for gold. The first one was here, and I told you that you'll be looking for a buy setup that will go all the way to that point. Let me quickly go to the channel. Let me go to the channel right there, this one, and within the period, that last week period, I gave this. Yes, I gave you guys that you should look out for a buy setup around here for gold, and that was when price was somewhere around here. So which was what gave that indication, that buy setup that I gave them. So price actually did that push up, and then after it had gotten to that top, I also then gave you another trade signal call. another trade signal call that you should look at for a sell from that point. So I told you that you should wait for a pullback, which is this, that you should wait for a pullback, and then after that, you should expect price to then sell off from there. And which is what is currently, which was what's currently happened. Price went all the way to, where's this arrow? Yeah. So this was what I did. I told you to wait for the pullback, and then price will most likely then do that sell, which was what exactly happened. Price did the consolidation back, or a pullback back up, and then came down. So now what are we expecting? Remember that this is now like the reverse of what is currently happening in the dollar index. So in the dollar index, I'm going to draw two lines right here, and I'm going to draw this. So I don't need to go back to the chart anymore. And so for that dollar index, this is what we currently have. Price is trading within within the diagonal structure. So as it is doing that, the what do you call it? Gold also is trading within the any diagonal structure in a bullish any diagonal structure. Why this is giving you a bearish ending diagonal structure. So as it is right now, since we are still going to be expecting, one last push for dollar index before we then have a reversal. The same is what we are then supposed to be expecting on the gold chart. There's most likely going to be one last push up to this zone before you then have a proper sell-off. So which is what we are going to be looking out for in the coming week. So as it is right now, on Monday, I don't know where at what point price may have gotten to, but if price breaks above this level, if it breaks above this, it gives you the confirmation that we are still going for the last push before we then have that sell off. So the best way to get into the trade for this kind of stuff is to anticipate that price is going to come back to retest this area. So if price come back to retest this area, then it's going to be giving you that good buy setup that is needed. So if it comes all the way down here, then we are going to be getting into that buy that may take us to the last string before the eventual sell event then happen. So that's how we are going to be trading the gold in this coming week. So I want you guys to watch out for that. And also for Bitcoin, I think we have something similar in Bitcoin. Yeah, for Bitcoin right now, the same is what we're expecting. I'm going to still draw the structure of dollar index right here. I'm still going to draw it, and then just what is currently happening in the dollar index where it is trading within a corrective ending diagonal structure, and we're expecting one last push before it goes up, is what we are also currently experiencing similarly right here. So at first I was hoping that there's going to be a break above here. We have after breaking above this resistance of this triangle, that is going to continue going up, but it didn't do that. After breaking out from that from this upper trend line, it came down and then started dancing around. So there's still very good opportunity for you to be in a buy that may most likely end that structure before we then have the sell. Remember the structure that we are looking out for on the Bitcoin chart. So this is a Bitcoin chart on the daily time frame. We have currently got into this place, and then price is just dancing around this zone. And so when this is happening, there's every tendency that you're going to be having some kind of pullback to correct this move to the upside, some kind of pullback before price eventually then start going as expected. So so if you don't then go back to your your 1 hour time frame or 4 hours time frame, the structure is going to be clear. So as it is, we are still expecting a sell-off at some point around here, but then price, since the dollar index is not yet going to start getting strong yet, and so we expect that Bitcoin is going to first push up to some distance, maybe to retest somewhere around here before you then have that sell off. So that's what you're supposed to be watching out for also on the Bitcoin chart. Now I'm going to be leaving this this dollar index structure, which is going to be forming the basis of what we are going to be using to trade, to have an understanding of how to trade those other instruments. So US30. So for US30, this was where we were last week. This was where we were last week, and I told you guys that we are going to be watching out for this area. That if price gets here, if price gets to this line, and then doesn't break it, then it means we are going down. However, what then happened is that the next candle that came just here broke out entirely. It was very, very massive. It broke out entirely above this line, which gives an indication that we are then going to be heading for possibly around this zone. So now, as it is, I'm just going to go to the what do you call it, to the daily time frame to see our expectation. And so our expectation on this US30 is that we are trading in a B sideways correction, and then price is expected to still get to this point, and before it possibly come down here and then go for the B, or it just make a very simple correction and then spike up to this B zone before we then have that sell. In any case, at any time that you have the dollar index making this kind of push to the upside, that's when you should be expecting this major push to the downside on the US30, the NASDAQ, and also the S&P500. So that's what you should have in mind. We are still in course, and let me go back to the 4 hours time frame. And so last week, this was just like I said before, this was where we were last week. So I was expecting that the price gets here, it will be very clear for us to know whether we are going up or down. And then a consolidation around there will let us know that we are going down. But the candle that came was very, very significant. It broke above that level and then came back to retest. So with this kind of retest around here, and then with this kind of rejections candlestick around here, it gives you an understanding that we are then going to be going to the upside. Remember, we are still expecting some weakness on the dollar index before it gains strength. And so the same way that we are expecting some weakness here is the same way that we are going to be expecting some strength on the US30 before it then, starts showing weaknesses. And so the way we are going to be trading this is very simple. If you are not in a buy yet, you just want to wait for maybe some pullback up to this area. So I'm going to be drawing a line right here. Let me use proper line. I'm going to be drawing a line around here. So it means that if you want to get into the trade by Monday, we need to wait for price to come back to this zone. So if we come back to this zone, then it's going to be good for us, because we are looking at a structure that is then going to be looking more like an inverse shoulder pattern when price gets here, for us to have that push to the upside. And so that's how we are going to be trading it on Monday. We want to wait for price to possibly consolidate up to this point or somewhere around this point. And then, of course, your stop loss is going to be some distance away from that price action area. And so that is it for US30. For NASDAQ, now NASDAQ moves significantly much more than both NASDAQ and S&P500 move significantly much more than much more than the US30. I think I mistakenly deleted that. Okay, yeah, I told you I'm not going to be taking that away. And so last week, this was, I think we were somewhere around here on NASDAQ, and then I was expecting price to get to this area. I told you that price may most likely get to this area and then do some pullback. That if it does a pullback up to this point, then we can now look for a buy setup. Eventually, what then happened is that the candle that was supposed to give us a kind of consolidation around here for that pullback didn't happen. There was a very good candle that broke out out of that resistance line. I think there was a news around that time. It broke out of that resistance line completely and then came back to retest it. So this ideally gave me a very good opportunity to look for the buy setup I was looking for. So this was what I was expecting. I was expecting it to get here, come back here, and then take a buy here. But this broke out completely. So immediately then came back again to this point. I was then able to take some trades, and my only regret for this was that I got out too early. I think I closed the profit around here, and then I left this on the table, but still fine. So what we are going to be looking at right now, let's quickly go to the higher time frame to look at what's may most likely be our expectation. So I think this one is so very clustered. I can go to a very clean one here. Yeah, I think this is better. And what is most likely going to happen is that we have, okay, let me first take away this the dollar index line. So we have these two right here. We have those two. I'm drawing two lines right here. But what is most likely going to be happening is that there's every tendency that you're going to be having some consolidation candles around here for the NASDAQ. So it may most likely even break beyond some points here based on what we're expecting to happen on the dollar index. So if the dollar index becomes weaker this week, you can expect price to break by some distance above this resistance area, making it look as if there's going to be a break and continuous bullish run. However, the structure that we are looking at does not suggest that price is going to be going up and on for the now. So you're going to be expecting some kind of fake out above this point, and then price still coming all the way back to this area. So with this, by the time we go to the 4 hours time frame, to be very easy for us to know what to expect. Let me bring back that the dollar index chart. So as it is right now, what is most likely going to be happening is that since we are at a resistance zone, there are possibility that there are going to be rejections candles around here that are going to force price to come down to some extent. But that down is not going to be that much. After some time, we expect price to break above. So as at the time that dollar index is doing this, you should expect that there's going to be a break above above the resistance line, giving you something like a fake out, and then after that you can then expect price to then come all the way back inside the structure, possibly getting back to this area. And so it's not so clear yet. The better one is US30, but then I'm going to be looking out for how price unfolds, and then possibly if I see it very cleaner, then I can send it in the group. So the last but not the least here is going to be the S&P 500. And then for S&P 500, this was where we were last week, somewhere around here. And I told you guys that we have some resistance around here, and then price may most likely get there and form a pullback. And that if you want to get into the trade, you should be looking out for a rejection around here that's going to take you all the way down, all the way up to this point. Now, what then happened is that price came, and then it looked as if we're going to keep on going down, only for it to then reverse. For me, I was not really able to get inside this S&P 500 quite early. I was just able to get in somewhere around here, and then when it got so around here, and I saw this kind of consolidation candlestick forming, I closed it. And so what is then going to be happening most likely is that by the time market opens on Monday, there's every tendency that you're going to first have some pullback all the way, just giving you some kind of a pullback for you to get into the trade before it finally gets to this point. So you don't want to take that sell. What you want to do is to join into the buy. So as at the time that this sell is going to be happening, then you should be looking out for the buy setup that is going to be getting all the way back to this resistance zone. So we are going to hope that price come down to this area where we can then look out for our buy setup and then target this point. And yes, that's it. We will, just like I said before, I'm not going to be wasting too much time on this video. And our summary, the summary of what we are looking out for is very simple. Once you understand the direction or the flow of dollar index, it helps you understand how to trade related instrument, USD related instrument. And so for the structure that we have been looking at on the dollar index, we can see the structure right here that it's about completing, and then when price gets here, you should be expecting a very big push back to the upside. And so for this structure to be completed, it needs to make a 3-wave last swing right here. You need to do something like this right here, and then then form that pullback, and where the bullish will then stand. And so with that, it will let you be able to know how to get into US dollar related trade, like the dollar yen, and then US30, the NASDAQ, the gold, the Bitcoin, and all that. And so summarily, we are looking for some weaknesses in the USD, and then after that, a very good strength on the USD, and then we are going to be looking at taking the reverse on those dollar related instruments. So I'll post updates in the group once they unfold, and then if you have any question, I'm always available within the channel to give you those clarifications. So you guys have a great trading week. Cheers and bye for now.